Hi there, so in today's lesson we're going to look at sample space diagrams. So there's a starter here on Venn diagrams to have a look at. So have a go at that, sort of pause me for 4 to 5 minutes while you try these 3 questions and then come back for the answers once you've done those. Thank you. So here are the answers then. So in the very top one, you generally start in the middle with Venn diagrams, so you can see that 1 and 8 appear in both lists. So I put 1 and 8 in the middle. I then put the numbers that are left in A on the left hand side, so that's the 2, 5 and 10. And I put the numbers that are left from B on the right hand side, because you can see when you've done this, you should have within your A circle all the numbers appearing, and also within your B circle all the numbers that are in B appearing with no duplicates. And the other numbers from this set, 1 to 10, appear on the outside of the 2 circles. Now for the probabilities at the bottom, so it's 17 out of 30 for the P of G, because if you look at the G circle, there are 17 people in there in total out of 30 in total. It says 30 in the question. Not H is everywhere on the outside of H. So look at the H circle and exclude it, so it's going to be the numbers 6 and 4. Right, H and G just corresponds to the middle. So remember this intersect notation means and, so it's the middle bit. And or means H or G, so anywhere within the circles. So 9 plus 11 plus 6 give you 26. Combinations, those are the answers. Just notice how I've done it systematically in terms of writing down all the things that go with 1, then all the things that go with 2, then all the things that go with 3, etc. I've done the same thing with the heads and tails as well. So I've started with heads in the first position and then put down all the 4 options for that, and I've started with tails and done the same thing, the other 4 options for that. So there are 8 in total for that bottom one. Right, sample space diagrams. So it's a probability topic. So have a quick read of the learning objectives today. Looking up, we're going to sort of set up a little game which involves the Grand National. So what you need to do now is you need to choose a horse from 1 to 12. And I'll explain how it's going to work, so I'll give you a chance in a second to choose. So these are the options. Right, so the names appear at the bottom. So what I want you to do is pick a horse that you think is going to win. And the way it's going to work is I'm going to roll 2 dice and add together the scores. And if it lands on that score, say I got a 7, that would mean that Lazy Luke would move forward, okay? And it's the first horse to the end. So pick a horse. Just a brief note, if at this stage you've chosen Racing Ryan, number 1, pick again, because you can't get 1 by adding together 2 dice. Okay, then I'm going to roll the dice. So the first option that I've got is a 3. So fast roll again. Next option is a 9. I roll again. Next option is 7, Lazy Luke. Next option is going to be 6. I'll roll again. It's going to be I'll roll again, so it's going to be just 12 this time. Roll again, 6 again. Roll again, 4. 5. I'll roll again. It's going to be I'll roll again. It's going to be a 7. It's close now between 6 and 7. Okay, so it's getting close. If you chose them two, one of them might win. Next one is going to be a 4. Roll again. It's going to be a 6. Next up, it's going to be. I'll roll it again and get a 3. I roll it again, and this. I roll it again, and it's going to be, and again, it's. So that's it. So if you chose number 7, you're the winner. Okay. Now there is actually a good choice to make here, and it is not surprising that it's sort of come in this order. So 6 and 7 have taken the lead here. So let's have a look at what I mean by this. So to sort of calculate to understand why these people why number 7 has won and why number 6 came second, we're going to do something called a sample space diagram. So these are the 2 dice that I have, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out a table. So in this table, I'm going to work out all the possibilities. So notice I've got 1 to 6 down the side and 1 to 6 across the top. Okay, and we said whatever we're going to do, we're going to add them, didn't we? So these are the 2 options for the dice. So I'm going to add together the first one. I get a 2 because 1 plus 1, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 3, 1 plus 4, all the way to do all the options. Okay? So these are all possibilities that you could have. Remember the starter where I asked you to put all the possibilities in the starter as well. So that's not surprising how we've got 36 options, and that comes from having 6 on one dice and 6 on the other dice. Right. We saw that 7 was the winner. Well, we've just seen there are 36 outcomes, all equally likely. All those grid squares are just as likely. But the point is, there are more ways to make 7 than there are any other number. So the chance of you getting a 7, you can see there are 6 numbers out of 36. So the probability of a 7 is 6 out of 36, which you can simplify if you wanted to. Alternatively, if you went for a 12, there's only one option. So there's not much chance of a 12 happening. If you chose a 6, which came in second, then there are 5 options you can see. Look at the 6 in the grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. Okay, so this is how we calculate probabilities. So we've calculated the probability of 3 different numbers. You can work them all out from this grid. So again, just for you to have a chance to think about these, and have a go at these 6 questions here. It's going to involve counting, and then come back for the answers in about a minute's time, so I can see how far we've got. Okay. Okay, so the probability of getting an 8, you can see, is 5 out of 36. And it's out of 36 because there are 36 options. That's the reason why. 9 would be 4 out of 36 because there are 4 options. You can simplify these as well. Remember, you're just dividing both of those, the top and the bottom, by 4. But the chance of getting an even number. So if you look through the grid, you can see every other number is even. So there are 18 possibilities. Now the chance of you getting a 0, well, there's no zeros in that grid, so it can't happen. More than 7, we'll just count all the 8s, 9s, 10s and 11s and 12s. There are 15 of them. And for the bottom option, chance of getting a 3, 5 or 10, just count them all up. There are 9 in total. Right, we're going to let you go at one in full now. Okay, so a couple of minutes to try this question. Fill out the table, the numbers are adding, and then at the bottom calculate the probability of scoring a 4. Okay, so put me on pause now, thank you. Okay, so this is what it should look like when you've done your table. You just added them all up. So 2 add 1 gives you 3, 2 add 2 gives you 4, 2 add 3 gives you 5, 4 add 1 gives you 5, 4 add 2 gives you 6, 4 add 3 gives you 7. Okay, so all I'm doing is working them out. I'm doing whatever's in the column added together with whatever's in the row. Okay? And the probability of scoring a 4, well, there are only 2 4s in that table. So it's 2 out of 9. And it's 9 because there are 9 options. The bottom number is always the number of options that you see. Okay? Now, you might have fallen for the trap of looking down the left-hand side and noticing it says 1, 2, 4 and not 1, 2, 3. Right. Okay, so if you need to watch that again, then watch it again. Otherwise, if not, you can start the exercises. So what you'll see, there are 3 main exercises. So you'll need to draw the table out each time. Okay, so you're going to have about, I would spend about 15 minutes on these exercises. Now, there are 3 slides with exercises. So there's this one, there's another slide, and then there's another slide. So it goes red, amber, green. Okay, so have a go at those now. Draw the grid out, calculate the probabilities. Each time you've done one of the slides, check your answer, and then move on to the next. So just put me on pause while you try red. So the answers to red, fill out the grid. Okay, so I've got 5 numbers down one side and 6 down the other. I'm just adding the numbers. So the probability of getting 11 is going to be 1 out of 30, because there's one number out of 30. The chance of getting a 7 is going to be, looking diagonally down these lines, there are 5 possibilities out of 30, but you can, so it's 5 out of 30 for your answer. You might have got a 6th as well if you simplified it. So notice these answers will all be simplified. So in part D, you might have got 10 out of 30 as well. In part E, you may have got 6 out of 30. And in part F, you may have got 5 out of 30. All correct if you got those right. Okay, so now try yellow. Going to put me on pause now. So here are the answers. So again, they're all out of 12. So you might have got in part C, you might have got 3 out of 12. And in part D, you might have got 4 out of 12 if you've not simplified. Okay? Next one is the next question. This time you do the grid yourself. So you've got a 6-sided and a 4-sided die. Okay? So put the 6-sided along the top and the 4-sided one down the bottom, and then fill out your numbers by the product. Product means times, not add. So you add times in the numbers, multiplying. So put me on pause and then try the answers. So here are the answers coming from multiplying the numbers. So for example, this 8 here comes from doing 2 times 4. Again, I've put the simplified probabilities. If you want the non-simplified ones, you should have 18 out of 24, 15 out of 24, 3 out of 24, 19 out of 24, 18 out of 24, and 0. Okay, so here's all the answers in total if you want them all to go back. However, we'll now move on to the final task, which is 3 questions, 3 more sample space diagrams for you to draw out. Just be careful, if you're trying green, it says subtract. Other than that, have a go and then come back for the answers. Thank you. Right, so here are the answers. You want to mark them? Put me on pause while you do that. And then finally, just red, amber, green, purple your work. And thank you for listening, everybody.